Jalen, did you think that I was going to allow you to have the shine for longer than just one episode?
No, of course you don't.
No, because the big boys are coming to play. Y'all got college football, but the NFL is my baby. And we are sitting less than a week away from my team getting rightful vengeance on the Kansas City Chiefs. Go Birds! And another title is coming to the best sports city in the USA.
Blazer Nation! It's time to fire up and tune in to the hottest sports podcast around Valdosta State University. Made by the students about the Blazers for Blazer Nation all around. You're tuning into the Inferno Blazer Sports Show with Jalen Scott, Chris Mercer, Wyndham Drayton, and Sawyer Baltimore. And if you can't take the heat, what makes you think you can survive the Inferno? And of course, we just had to have a cold open from Chris Mercer, the enforcer over here, sitting across from me as unfortunately as I have to report, his Eagles are making the Super Bowl.
Hey, say it one more time, man. I like these headphones are really loud, low, man. Can you say that again, man?
His Eagles are making the Super Bowl.
Woo! That's a D, baby. Twice in this decade, which is more what the Cowboys could say over the last 30 years. But
you better be thankful that I, as a Cowboys fan, have. I don't despise the Chiefs, but I just don't want them to win. So be thankful that for the second time in the past 7 years, a Cowboys fan is cheering for the Eagles.
Yes.
Dad, I'm sorry.
Yes, go Birds. It's a great day. We bleed green, but oh man, it's great to be here, man.
But right now, we're all for the red and black. This is the Inferno Blazer Sports Show, along with Jalen Scott, Sawyer Baltimore to my left, Wyndham Drayton sitting across me, and of course,
you know who this is, man. Go Birds, baby. Go Birds, man. We got a good show for y'all, man. This is our first of Black History Month. So happy Black History Month to all, man. We honor all those that have come before us. We got a great show for you guys, talking women's and men's hoops as they are on the road currently. And we talk about how the Blazers also ranked in the top 5 now, or top 6 now, I should say. So without any further ado, let's get into it, man. So Jalen, we're talking about some women's hoops, man. They're coming off a victory last time out.
Absolutely. I mean, against West Florida, that was one of the toughest outings, one of the toughest showings for this Lady Blazer basketball team, who are currently sitting 12-8 on the season, 7-7 in the conference. And again, it's like I said at the beginning of the previous episode. The season started off swimmingly, and then we've hit a couple. Then Chandler Murchison and the team has hit a couple road bumps in the way. I mean, these last couple games against West Alabama, Hall of Fame weekend, which by the way, I just want to give a massive shout out to former Lady Blazer Brittany Ferguson Bell. Lady Blazer from 2010, 2012, becoming the 20th Lady Blazer all-time inducted into VSU's Hall of Fame. And the game that would follow against West Alabama, both Lady Blazers and Tigers put on a show for that game. It was a ton of big moments in that game. Jillian Shank hitting a buzzer beater 3-pointer at the end of the first quarter. I was actually on the radio call with Mike Chasen for that game, because I wasn't working on Blazer Sports Media of Jamie that day. So both Chasen and I got to call that Hall of Fame game. An 11-2 run from VSU in the second quarter, back-to-back jumpers from Kirsten Nelson and Jillian Shank to make it a 39-26 lead at halftime. Mm-hmm. And then West Alabama's Kendall Lacoste carrying the team on her back and leading the Tigers to a 26-14 third quarter, with shooting 10 of 17 on the floor, 2 for 3 from distance. West Alabama would tie it up at 55 early in the fourth. Hicks, Ignacio, and Justice came up big with some great field goals and 3-pointers, particularly from Justice. She hit 2 3-pointers in that fourth quarter to seal the game 68-63. And speaking of JC Justice, the Peebles OHIO native, first 10-point game for her this season, which would be that's her first 10-point game this season. And unfortunately, it would be the end of Ari Hicks' 6-game 10+ point streak she had heading into that game. Hicks would actually record her second points and assists double-double in 4 games.
Oh yeah, she
19 points and 12 assists. She
also had 6 rebounds in that game as well.
And 6 rebounds.
She was flirting with a triple double, and I mean, she's
as a point guard.
Yeah. She doesn't get enough credit for how she is able to distribute the rock,
that's even including the fact that Mary McMorris, our secondary ball handler, our secondary point guard, she was kind of battling through a bit of an injury because she had to be subbed out in the first minute. She tweaked her ankle, would play 12 more minutes in the second half, and unfortunately would be unavailable against Alabama Huntsville due to tweaking her ankle. But she would return against West Florida. We'll talk about that in a second. Ignacio also had her first 10-plus point game since Lynn on November 18th of 2024 against the Tigers.
Yeah,
Kirsten
man.
Nelson began another 10-plus point game streak that's currently going on right now.
Tootie
Nelson.
I was on the call with Spencer Van Horn, and I can tell you we just impressed with how they've been able to stay resilient. Had lost a couple of games in a row going into it, and able to snap out of it in a huge way on Hall of Fame weekend. And for a West Al team that have only won 2 games up until this point, they gave the Blazers more that they can handle.
Absolutely, and it speaks to the resilience and toughness of this group, and I mean, especially against Alabama Huntsville, which I'm not going to cover too much on because most of us were there for that game. We know how that one went. 6 of 23 from 3-pointers from Alabama Huntsville, 27 out of their 68 total. Alabama Huntsville's connection of Haley Nichols and Lily Wilkin were unfreaking stoppable that game. 30 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, 12 of 21 on the floor, 4 for 5 free throws combined from those two, from Nichols and Wilkin. VSU didn't have McMorris or Courtney Stoddard for that game, so we were playing a couple numbers down. So I'm not going to talk much about Alabama Huntsville because that game was just ridiculous.
It just was a lot because this was after, because we're recording, because the last time we recorded this was right before the snowstorm that hit.
This was before the snowstorm.
So this game was initially set for the Thursday at the end of January. Yep. And then this game obviously gets pushed back to that Monday. Yeah. So they had like that extended little break. But, that game was a little bit tougher. But then as we go into the West Florida game, and that's a side note, I watch, as I am the sports editor for the Spectator. I'm watching every single game, making sure I get my stories out. Yep. One thing that I will give West Florida a lot of credit for, I love that score bug to death. However, I feel like it's reversed because if anyone that watches sports, the away team is only on the left-hand side
and the home team is on the right side.
But it's inverse. And it's like, y'all, please, if anyone that watches this for West Florida, please change that because I actually love their score. Yeah,
because I was actually sitting across the court from the team, so I was sitting like with the other with their
I caught you on camera. And I was just like, "Who is up?" Like that Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, I'm like, "Oh, I know he looked familiar. He won us."
Because I'm standing up the entire time.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking. I'm like, "Damn."
During the game,
like, who is this short man? Who is this dude standing up? Like, bruh, get out the way, sit down. But
But that West Florida game, 75-69 in overtime.
That's a running theme, man.
5th overtime game for the Lady Blazers this season, and I'll say for this game, I think Chandler Murkson said it the best during the post game when she talked about the resilience and the fight that this team had and the experience of playing in overtime.
Yeah,
absolutely paid off.
Yeah,
it paid off in dividends because the first half really didn't have much of note other than a hot start from West Florida's Hayden Pitch, who shot 3 3-pointers back to back to back.
Oh yeah, she was cooking. I was like, man.
India Jordan responding with her own 3-point shots. I believe she was 4 of 10 from distance, and then a third quarter explosion from VSU. What West Alabama did to us on our home court, VSU did to West Florida on their home court.
Yeah.
Coming out of a 3-point deficit, they outscored West Florida 24-12.
Yeah.
That ended 54-45 for VSU. But then came the run that broke the camel's back, with West Florida determined to stay in the game, went on a 10-2 run in the final 3 minutes of regulation to force overtime.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's just kind of the thing with basketball is it's a game of runs. You don't ever want to be in a position where you have a 10-point lead and you give it up.
Yeah, especially like within like last 4 minutes of that game, and it's just like you're sitting there and it's like, all right, we got a comfortable win, and especially against a West Florida team who we saw back in December, and they had just eked away a 64-62 win back then, and it's just like, we see them again, we should be able to win it, and to be up 10 that close, it's just like, all right, we just got to batten down the hatches and finish things off, but just. You know, it felt like they kind of ran out of like gas and they needed a chance to refuel.
It just did not turn out that way.
But they refueled in overtime,
Clearly, because the 5th overtime game of the season started with the 4-0 rally by West Florida, but then the Hicks-Nelson connection came through along with a jumper and steal from Aaron Whalen, leading to a Mary McMorris layup that brought the score to 71-67. And then I know we harped on free throws a lot with this Lady Blazer team, but they came through when it mattered, going 6 of 8 from the free throw line in overtime. 4 Lady Blazers would score double digits in that game. Whalen with their 6th double-double of the season. I just gotta say, Whalen I think is a major sleep. I think Whalen is slept on a lot as a point forward for potentially being an all conference player. I think Whalen is a major underrated all GSC player.
Yeah.
Her absolutely. 6th double-double of the season, 20 points and 11 rebounds for her in this game. Her second against West Florida, because she had a double-double against the Argonauts last time they played. So I guess Aaron Whalen just has the thing for scoring double-doubles against the Argonauts.
Yeah, it was a great game. And I want to pass it over to you guys. What do you think about the resiliency of this team thus far as they are looking like they're trying to find their way?
I think it's really nice to see they're coming together right now, and these next couple of games are going to be where it's really going to have to come together for them, because they're currently sitting 6th in the conference, 7-7 in conference play. The next three teams behind them are all 7-8.
Yeah, it's a log jam right now for seeds 5 through 9 in the Gulf South Conference.
And so, if they want to make the conference tournament and not be like they're trying to keep themselves out of that number 8 spot for sure, trying to avoid seeing Union. You probably don't want to see Union or Alabama Huntsville again in the first round. So you're trying to stay in that 5th or 6th range. But any slip up in these next couple games, if Delta State, Auburn Montgomery, or Montevallo go on a run, you could potentially even be out.
It's so stacked right now, and they have currently 5th. We see Delta State on the 13th of February. That'll be our next home game here.
Yep, we face both Delta State and Mississippi College. Which speaking of, VSU heading into that game against West Florida, they were 8th in the Gulf South Conference. But with the Lady Blazers winning that game, and both Montevallo and AUM, Auburn Montgomery, they both lost to the Mississippi schools.
Yeah.
So that is what's creating the logjam of the 5 teams of Mississippi College, Valdosta State, Delta State, Auburn Montgomery, and Montevallo. It's like we have 3 separate tiers of GSC teams right now. You got your first tier, your 10+ win teams, your Union, Alabama, Huntsville, Lee, West Florida, who dropped to 4th after that game, by the way.
Yes.
So Mississippi College only 2 games back behind them. So
and we see Lee there. And Lee is 3rd in the conference.
Yeah, Lee's 3rd in the conference. 11-4 in the GSC, 17-4 overall. That's actually who we're facing next. By the time this episode comes out, that game would have already been played. Which I'll be on the road. Which I will be on the road for. So Lord help me for the amount of editing I'm gonna have to do when I'm up there in Cleveland and Nashville, because I realize I screwed myself with this. But with Lee and Trevecca, we've already beaten them.
Yeah,
we beat both those teams. We beat Lee when they were 23rd in the nation in December.
Yeah.
So this is a prime opportunity to put the other teams in the Gulf South Conference on notice, to say, hey, VSU might be in the spot they are now, but that does not mean they can't hang with some of the better teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And a win against Lee can help propel us back into a spot of where we thought they can be at the beginning of the year, around that 3-4 spot. A win like that against West Florida shows that we are still able to play with the big boys of the conference.
Yeah.
So
I honestly, I think the most dangerous games out of this are those 4 remaining home games against Delta State, Mississippi College, Auburn, Montgomery, and Montevallo.
Yeah,
and those teams I just said, they're all fighting for playoff positioning right now.
They're doable. They're wins that are. I mean, out of the games that we're switch over to the men's side, like the best competition that we've had to face early in the year, and now that we're going up against teams that they're still fighting, but I think we still have that particular edge into the 1-2 game that we have with Tootie and Hicks.
Yeah, between Tootie and Hicks, Shank
is a sharpshooter. Waylon is like she is gonna fight through to get to our offensive rebound.
Literal point forward.
Yeah, so it's amazing.
Aaron Waylon. Ignacio coming in for some great minutes, getting good production. JC Justice finally starting to get some good production.
And India Jordan coming along as well. Yeah,
I mean, everybody plays their role, and everybody's starting to play their role great. And honestly, if we potentially see some more overtime games, which honestly we might against Delta State, Mississippi College, I have no idea what just happened there. That overtime experience is going to come through. And honestly, if a game does go to OT, I'm taking VSU every single day of the week because of their experience.
Absolutely. 5 overtime games. That tests the team. So what's their record in overtime games? If you can,
3-2.
3-2. Yeah, I think that showed, because when you look at overtime games against Montevallo, we had an overtime game against. Yep. Against where we're kind of like the foul trouble kind of like played into
back to back against Mississippi College and Delta State.
Yep, and Delta State, and it's like we have shown
bringing us one of the greatest calls
of all Delta State game. Oh my God, I'm not over that.
Just look it up. Just look it up. I'm pretty sure it's on the highlight. I'm pretty sure it's on the GSC highlights somewhere.
No, go on VSU Lady Blazers page and find that Delta State. It is there. I promise it's there. It is the funniest thing in the world. But when you've been rather quiet, man, I do want to ask you there, what has impressed you most about the Lady Blazers so far this year?
I just love their fight. I mean, they never give up in the game. They're always continuing to scrap and scrape, even if they're down however many points. It's never just give up. It's always I'm going to establish that I'm here, and I'm going to prove to everybody that I want to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Same thing as like what Coach D's teams always had, even when they were 30-3. Which also another thing I just want to add here before we switch gears here, and this is something that Coach Chan also said during the post game that I agree with majorly. She said we talked about it after the game against West Florida, that this group of players, that the amount of fight that they have had to, the amount of fight and the amount of resiliency they have had to bring to the table is probably the most that this group has experienced. Yeah. And to that, I absolutely agree. I think the amount of adversity and the amount of times the Lady Blazers have had to fight through games, had to claw and battle through games, had to grind out wins. This is probably the most that the Lady Blazers have had to do especially since last year. Because compared to last year, there's a major difference between going 30-3 and just beating everybody.
Yeah, because all these games last year weren't like within 10, so they didn't have these opportunities to fight and having to claw back from behind, or claw. A team is clawing back, and then they got to find a way to route.
You got to remember as well. 4 returners for this Lady Blazer squad, but only one of them played more than 1 year as a Lady Blazer. Do you know what that is?
1 year late. It would have to be India Jordan, because Victoria was that was her first year last year.
Victoria, Aaron, and Courtney.
Yep, we're all first years last year.
This is all their second years as Blazers. India Jordan is probably the only Lady Blazer who has had to go through all that, because this is her 5th year. Yeah, India Jordan was part of that 2020-2021 squad that made it to the Elite 8.
Exactly. There's that experience, and it's like
that's that veteran experience.
She didn't really get enough time during on the depth chart the year prior, but she has really stepped into her own, especially in these last couple of games. And
that veteran experience pays off.
Absolutely, man. Wish the Lady Blazers a luck and Jalen safe travels on that trip over there to Lee. We get over to the men's side. They are winners of 11 of their last 12 games, including a win on West Al during the Hall of Fame weekend.
Mike Crane.
I'm going to say, Mike Crane, as Mike Chasen called him, the Falcon Killer, because he had 2 game winners in 2003 against Montevallo both times. And he had also, great tomahawk skills as well, because I know that he was a massive high flyer. So congratulations of him getting into the Hall. I had spoke to head coach Mike Helfer, because that would have been his first, year being with the Blazers. And you just talk about, man, it's like, it's great to not only, know great players, but not only to know that he is a great person. It's like meant more to me to this program than I think anything else. And it just helped me start, my time here at VSU off to like a great start.
And I remember Crane also as well after the radio halftime show where Mike Chasen was talking to him. There was a lot of mics going around. Mike Crane, Mike Chasen, Mike Helfer. VSU, kind of mics. But I remember Mike Crane. He told me afterwards when they were in a radio break. Mike Chasen introduced me to him, and Crane told me, "Hey, you're learning from one of the best. You're learning from one of the best in the business right here." And
absolutely.
He said, I remember he telling me you're learning from a great guy. You're going to do great out there. I'm like,
absolutely.
I appreciate it, man.
It was probably also, the Hall of Fame weekend saw them honor not only Mike Crane and not only Brittany Bell, but also the 2018 national championship team for football. But another football alum that was in the house, Kenny Moore, was sitting over at the away side scores table, and me and Spencer joked earlier. It was like, I think he brought the snow, because it was just right after the snowstorm that hit Valdosta. He was just like, I think he brought the snow from Indianapolis. And I'm like, I'm like, make sure you take it back with you, son. Like,
Stanley Flanders for football, Stanley Flash Flanders. Correct myself there. June Munford for baseball, Gary Slayton for men's cross country. Of course, that 2018 Division II National Championship football team. And Pat and Ron Bizona, contributors from 1982 to now.
Yeah, man.
And Caitlin Calhoun for softball as well.
Absolutely. So, her ERA, I can't remember off the top of my head. It was like 1.34. And like, nasty. Like, what are we doing? Like, that was insane. But, going into this West Al game, at this point, we're on a 9-game winning streak at this point. And it felt like in that first half, it was, a little bit tighter than I think that we expected it to be with West Al. But then that second half, oh man,
Malik Leach.
That's all. Like, he had 21 points in the second half. 18 of those came from off of 3-pointers as he went 6 for 7. I mean, it just was phenomenal what he was doing with the bat. I mean, he just was cooking, and we talked about all the time who was going to be that other person to step up on that team. And me and Spencer were mentioning that, and we're just like, we need that type of production. And, I think he heard us somehow. And I mean, was shooting. He was just shooting the lights out. Blazers would get the victory 87-64 to win our 10th straight game. However, we get to the Alabama-Huntsville game, which is by far the game of the year.
It is, and I'll say this, for as little as we talked about for the women's side, that Alabama-Huntsville VSU game, we're going to have a little bit to talk about with this game.
Like, game of the year.
And I believe, were all 4 of us here for that?
Yes, I was.
When were you at the Alabama-Huntsville game? This would have been Monday the 27th.
I was not, sadly.
Yeah, but man,
your
missed out.
Pressure.
Oh man, game of the year. I had just come back from a class which was already stress inducing, but it was 97-95, a matchup between two teams ranked in the top 15 at the time, with Blazers being at 11 and then Alabama Huntsville coming in as the number 4 team in the country. More than lived up to the hype, came down to the wire. First overtime game of the year for the Blazers, on the men's side at least. Yep. So it came down to just a lot of missed calls going into regulation, particularly by Daniel Saylor, in terms of a foul on Carlos Hart that kind of affected the outcome of the game, in terms of it just felt like he just wasn't the same. And the reason why I say that is because at the closing stretch, Carlos Hart goes to the line, who has been money all year at the free throw line, and misses a pair, which is, I mean, we haven't seen that all year. And, he goes down, they go down the court. Blazers, I think, get a stop on a layup, and somehow the ball ricochets out of the hand and Sawyer lays it up and in to give them the 97-95 win to snap the 10-game win streak.
In the final second of the game.
I mean, they hit it with like 8/10 of a second left. And I mean, you could just hear a pin drop. And I mean, again, this was a Monday night. This game had been obviously moved due to the snow. And you could feel that place come alive. And it just went radio silent at the end of that game.
I think something else we need to note as well. 17 tight scores, 17 lead changes.
Yeah, it was insane. It was a phenomenal game. The Blazers had nothing to hang their head on. I mean, nothing to, hang down their head on, because that game proved, as Coach Helver would speak during the post game, we can compete with them. Because the first time that they had faced them, it was like 107-88. Like, it wasn't close at all.
It was a lopsided game.
Yeah, it was lopsided in December. And then when you get to here and you see, we can go play with them. And I do think that when I bring up that foul earlier on Carlos Hart, I do think Saylor could have been ejected for a flagrant 2.
I think he should.
Everybody in the building.
I mean, it felt like he ripped him down as Cart was going for a layup, and you could hear his head hit the floor.
Yeah, his head hit the floor.
And it's just like, that's a difference maker. And it's just like, he would get up to try to shoot the free throws, but you could clearly see something wasn't right, because after, when they were trying to go for the final, going for the win in regulation, it would be, not only, Drew Mills was having a great game, but normally Drew Mills is not the guy that you normally go to when it's these type of like clutch situations. It's normally, Hart or Braxton. Mm-hmm. And it just felt like they weren't able to like get that ball to him, because it just felt like Hart was just like going through the motions in a sense. So, I mean, we're glad he's doing well, because we're going to get into the West Florida game, but that was just a true difference maker in a game that was just, I mean, the referees like to hold their whistles against us, don't they?
Yeah, don't get me started on those officiating crews. I have some strong opinions about them. Our conference officiating crews, I won't say anything.
Just woof.
There's some of the
I mean, it was heated, and I think that one thing that Helfer's preached on is like, we had the opportunities to, and I think that free throw woes came into it, because at the end of the day, when you get 2 free throws to give you the lead, you gotta knock them down. But just, man, that hurts, because we know that Hart had just taken that fall in regulation, and it's just
hitting his head on the floor. He stayed down for a solid minute, just holding on to his head. I know that was a really hard impact his skull had against the hardwood floor. And also I just want to say, for all those out there, if you think Sawyer is talking out the side of his head when he's talking about the officiating,
please watch that game.
But first of all, please watch that game, and also second, just to kind of back him up here. This man is a GSSA official. I just want to say that. So. Yeah,
he knows what he's talking about.
He knows what he's talking about. He knows what good and bad officiating looks like.
Yeah, it was. So
take it from the guy who actually worked with the GHSA.
I can't remember whose parent it was, but they were behind the Blazers bench, and I mean, it's clearly somebody's mom, because like anybody in here that knows, when a mom is talking, everybody just looks up, and it's just like, you don't care who it is. We look up like, who was saying that, and it was like, this is a bad officiating all night. And it's just like, you can hear it. And there's at least like 1,300 people here. And then when you just hear a pin drop. And I just look over and I'm like, yes, ma'am. Like, I'm not about to disagree, because it was egregious, some of the calls that they had missed coming up down, like going up for layups, missing on offensive rebounds, and getting, like, those are bad calls that can absolutely change the perspective of the game. But
that one player for Alabama Huntsville pushing off every single time.
I think it was
45, I believe.
Yeah,
no?
so
Daniel
but it's Saylor again. Like, it was getting ridiculous
every time. He was pushing off.
Yeah, like, you can't be chicken winging folks. Yeah, and it's just like,
if you think we're joking about this, go watch the highlights.
Please do. Go watch. It was a great game, and I think that everybody in there, you got your money's worth. I do think that
you absolutely got your money's worth.
It was a phenomenal game,
but there is no denying that the officials did play a part with no calls and some calls that were just inexcusable at some key points in the game.
Absolutely.
But you want to talk about a rebound. You want to talk about a rebound against West Florida, 104-96.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell there was some anger. There was some anger taken out against West Florida.
But Jalen, you had mentioned in the group text about this game that most of these players were dealing with some flu-like symptoms. Or
yes,
flu that
it was a literal. It was pretty much the VSU flu game. It was pretty much the VSU flu game. It got to the point where Malik Leach, who we talked about earlier, he didn't play. He didn't make the trip. He didn't make the trip down to West Florida. So we had to mix up. So we had to mix up some of the lineups, some of the units. I think Tony Green Jr. is also dealing with it. MJ Jones was dealing with it. I remember the Coach Helfer said during the post game, he was talking about MJ. MJ came to the bench at one point and said, "Coach, I'm going to throw up. Coach, I'm about to throw up."
Yeah, it's just like it's tough.
And Tony Green Jr. At some point said as well, "It's like, hey, Coach, I'm not doing too great, but if you need me to go out there for a minute, I'll give you a minute." And honestly, I just want to say that is the biggest, like that is the most pivotal, selfless moment you wish you could get out of any athlete.
Absolutely. And this is a difference from this year and last year, because like as of recording of this video, because of course there's that game Thursday, Blazers are I'll look at just what it was last year. We were 12-16 last year.
Yeah.
We are 17-3 this year. And stuff like that is the difference of if you win or not, because if you're seeing that someone is toughing out flu-like systems, because man, there's people that don't even want to go to classes and having the flu, let alone play 30 minutes or 25 minutes, and especially the rotations and the system that Helfer has instilled into this team where you're playing press defense. As soon as that is a lot. And
you still scored 104 points.
Exactly.
They scored 100 points with, I believe, 4 minutes left.
Exactly. And also, that's what, the fifth 100-point game that we've had? Sixth 100-point game that we've had this year. And it speaks to the level of commitment that this team has to a winning cause. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's simply phenomenal.
And we talk about players getting their moment to shine in their games. Peter McKee. I just want to give my flowers absolutely to Peter McKee, playing 22 minutes off the bench. Dude was on fire from beyond the 3-point line. 4 of 5 beyond the arc. 14 points for him in that game. Lucas Brown Jr., 12 points in that game. Actually, 6 Blazers in that game scored double digits. Braxton Williams, he told me during the player post-game interview that he said he was going through some stuff mentally. Well, clearly he's broken through. Clearly he's broken through that barrier right now. He's broken through that barrier with a 22-point game, 5 steals on the day, 7 rebounds. Carlos Hart with 16 points, Kobe Haraway with 13, Drew Mills with 12, again McKee with 14, Lucas Brown Jr. with 7.
Drew Mills doesn't get enough love.
Ethan Byers with 7, Jones with 8. I'm
here to tell you, Drew Mills is probably the most underrated facet of this team, because we've talked about Williams, we've talked about Hart, and even talked about Haraway being an absolute lock on defensively.
Yep.
But Drew Mills, the way that he paroles around the paint as a very good shot blocker, can absolutely get his own shot. Mm-hmm. In terms of similarities, what Drew is to the men's team is the same way Tootie is for the women's team. Mm-hmm. Not only play in the same position, but they play very similar games. They have a great mid-range. But Drew Mills can absolutely stretch the floor, where he, if he is out there on the wing or at the top of the key, he absolutely can do that.
I kind of liken Mills more with Aaron Whalen. I think Drew Mills
in terms of rebound production, absolutely.
Rebound production and kind of positional things as well. Because you remember Drew Mills is 6'5". Drew Mills is 6'5". He's obviously a good deal
and he's our
shorter.
Center, and he's still doing the things that he's doing.
He's our center, but he doesn't play a traditional 5. He does not play traditional 5 like Tootie does. Tootie plays a traditional 5.
Yeah.
Mills plays like a 4. And Aaron Whalen also plays like a 4. They're both forwards. Don't get me wrong there, but they both can stretch the floor. So I think the comparison is more Mills. I think Drew Mills is to the men's team as Aaron Whalen is to the women's team.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the thing there. So you guys have any more comments before we head into a break?
Yeah.
And we got Lee and Tribeca coming out, which Lee, again, another team that is
heading over to, because both those schools are in Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
right?
Cleveland, Tennessee, and then Nashville, Tennessee. That's going to be a fun trip. And Tribeca as well, the number 3 team in the Gulf South Conference right now. That's going to be another heavyweight bout as well. Be sure to either tune in on
Flow Sports, and then
Flow
on
College,
Fox.
or on I don't know what radio station we're on. We're either on Talk 92.1 or Fox Sports Valdosta.
Yes,
whichever one.
Please clearly, when you get a chance, please clear up for the people. So Jalen, you do some great work on the road, commentating for the team. So I mean, he's out here stretching his voice out for this team.
Yeah, my voice is usually hoarse by
this
the
man
end of the
sounds
game.
like Louis Armstrong coming back in because he is over here. I see trees of green. Like he is in there. He is in. I mean, golly, I'm like, are you gonna tell me you got red roses too? Like, what's happening? But when we come back from the break, we got baseball and softball. They're finally here and they're starting to get going on their season. This is the Inferno Blazers Sports Show. We'll be right back right after this.
Hey there. Suppose you want to hear more hot headlines, scorching stories, and humorous but informative commentary on all things Blazer athletics? How about subscribing to the show, following us on Instagram at the Inferno B.S.S, or checking out our website at www.sites.google.com/view/the Inferno B.S.S so that you never miss out on any episode of the Inferno wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to the Inferno Blazer Sports Show, the sports podcast by the students about the Blazers for Blazer Nation all around. And now, back to the show.
Please start it. Please start it.
And we're back here with you all for the Inferno Blazer Sports Show after a break full of shenanigans, as Chris actually put it quite nicely during the scorching send-off episode. So I'm going to borrow that term here as a
I respect my royalties. Oh my God,
shenanigans.
Oh, man.
But we're going to switch things over from shenanigans to
Kyle's favorite pastime. Baseball. What's going
Blazer
on?
baseball and softball smacking the cover off the baseball and softball respectively. But we're underway for baseball and softball. Finally, pitchers and catchers support, the glove hitting the mitt, the ball hitting the mitt.
Yeah.
It's all here, man. We're going to start things off with baseball as they started with a 3-game non-conference series against Rollins, the Rollins College Tars down in Winter Park, Florida. Want to get things kicked off for us here?
All right. So in this first game of the season, the Blazers will fall to the Tars 8-3 is the final score. It would see Pedro Moreno, a couple of because I don't think did we talk about a little bit about some of the new players.
We talked a little bit. We didn't get much. We didn't get much in depth. But we can, I guess we can kind of start on that so far. I mean, from last year to this year is a great deal of new talent infused into the roster.
And a new coach as well.
Yeah, bring a good deal. I think actually the entirety of the entire coaching staff as well, with Coach Jan Weisberg, JD Hulse, Jeffrey Bramlin, Blake Bales, Ben Sullivan, Cooper Samples, all just a full-on sweep of the coaching staff and a good deal of new players coming in for this Blazer baseball team. Of course, there's going to be a couple standout names in there that we've seen before, the likes of
DJ Banks,
Pedro Moreno returning. That's
Hunter Stowe, who was named GSC preseason.
Yeah, all GSC preseason. Marco Seviano back for us as well. Nick Ferrara, a massively underrated relief pitcher,
absolutely
back in the fold. Giovanni Canagita, back here as well. Hunter Booth as well. The towering 6'3" senior from St. Petersburg. Is back for us. Fareed Elje, Henry Alfonso, as we just said. Jacob King returning for us as well. Anthony Martins, Reynel Ortiz.
Yeah,
Ortiz is back as well. You're kind of do it all player. Reynel Ortiz can play the left-handed pitcher and first baseman. Orlando Pena as well. Again, we said Hunter Stowe. Trent Lewis is back as well. So a good deal of returning players. Zach Dotson, as well, who unfortunately
he got the ball in the first game of the year. He went 4 innings, allowed 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and only struck out 1 in 77 pitches thrown. So he was out of there, and Blazers releases. They tried to soften the blow a little bit as Trey Jackson and Jaden Bedora came in. Jackson gave us 2 innings, 2 hits given up, 2 runs, 2 earned runs as well, 2 strikeouts. Bit of a rough way to start the year in terms of the pitching side, and I know that that was something that we kind of grew a theme to last year in terms of we didn't have the starters that would give us out long inning stretches of games where they would give us 5 or 6 or 6 or 7. So not the greatest start in the world, but it's a long season.
It's a long season. I mean, starting early January, going all the way to April and May.
Yeah,
you got a lot of
a lot of baseball, and runs and streaks happen. Going into their next game on that Saturday, they would fall 9-7, closer in terms of the output as well for VSU.
Took a rally as well. I believe it was a 7-run rally in the 5th, 6th, and 7th after being down by 5.
Yeah, and Hunter Booth was in the got the starting nod. In this one, he went 4 innings, 8 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned. Had a walk, 3 strikeouts, and also hit 1 batter before he was out before the start of the 5th inning.
Yep.
Nick Farrar would come in for an inning as well.
And he was saddled with the loss.
Yeah, it was saddled with the loss, which is tough.
Yeah,
however, it was a great fight because the bats definitely woke up in this game. As we saw, Pedro Moreno, he grabbed himself a hit. We had 4 players for the VSU that had 2 hits, including Canagina, Hunter Stowe, Orlando Pena, and DJ Banks, who led. He had 2 hits as well. And he also had 3 RBIs to go with it as well, the lead team. So,
a really productive outing for Banks in that game. And then of course, a bit of a revenge game in the 3rd one, an 11-0 shutout.
Exactly. VSU last year had 5 shutouts that led to GSC, and now they got themselves their first shutout. So it didn't take them long.
In 3 games.
Yeah, exactly. So in this one, I'm trying to see who took the mound. That would be newcomer number 29, Drake LaRoche, who is just named, as of recording of this video, named
Steel's Jewelry Athlete of the Week
and GSC Player of the Week.
Player of the Week.
Yep, so, and that just dropped while we were recording.
So double dipping in the weekly awards. So
absolutely, he was 6 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts. In this time,
and no walks,
56 pitches thrown.
Wait, 56? What? Are you serious?
That's it.
Yeah,
6 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, no walks on 56.
Yeah,
Jesus,
that's an insane stat line.
That was a great way to introduce yourself. He's a
Birmingham Southern transfer as well, so he came from that Birmingham Southern team.
Yeah, so he balled in his first start of the year, gets the first win of the year for VSU. Some of the notable hitters that had himself a nice day. As Orlando Pena also had another 2-hit outing in this one. Hunter Stowe also with 2 hits. He also knocked in 2 RBIs in the victory. They are 1-2. The Blazers are set for their first home series of the year against Embry-Riddle, who is coming now a common team because we faced them last year as well.
Yep.
Beginning on Friday with first pitch at 5. Yeah.
Playing out Billy Grant Field, first of 4 home games because you got that 3-game series against Embry-Riddle, 1 game per day. So 5 p.m. first pitch on Friday the 7th, which is the day this video will be released. Single game against Embry-Riddle on the 8th, and then 1 on the 9th, at 1 and 12 p.m. respectively, and then Georgia Southwestern on February 11th on that Tuesday. So you got 4 games in 5 days.
Absolutely.
This is definitely going to be a good opportunity to show, or at least to get a good look at. Get a good look at our Blazer baseball team, get a good look at the starters, your relievers. One of these games is definitely going to be a bowl bank game.
Probably by Sunday.
We all know how that goes. Because you have that day off between that.
Oh, that's a busy day for you, Jalen. And I'm just realizing that because you're broadcasting baseball, aren't you?
Well, no. No.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I kind of can if I'm on the road.
Well, yeah, I'm about to say there's no way, but
yeah, I can't broadcast baseball on the road.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I glad to keep this on the phone. Just like, all right, ready, camera 3, take 3, and his phone cuts out. Like, come on now, but
suck.
That would be terrible. But 3-game series, can't wait to see them back. There is truly nothing, unless I love football and basketball, but there's nothing like sitting outside, warm weather, and enjoying some baseball and great chance to see him on the diamond.
Yeah, and it's definitely a different beast to like watch baseball on your TV and actually being out there at the game. And Billy Grant Field, Tommy Thomas Park is a really nice ballpark.
Absolutely, and thankfully it wasn't touched kind of during the hurricane.
Well, other than some of the outfield walls being knocked down.
Yeah, but they got a better shape than the women than the softball team because it's to the point now as we transition over to softball, if you don't mind, as they are starting their season. Their first 15 games, if I am not mistaken, are all away from Steele's.
Yeah, I think we talked about this. The last episode, playing in the Gulf Shores Invitational against the likes of Nova Southeastern, Spring Hill, Oklahoma Christian, number 24 ranked Oklahoma Christian. Got to add that. Lubbock Christian out of Texas, Florida State, and then number 9 in the country, Rogers State. Florida Tech.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're 2-3 on the season,
and we started the season with an 8-0 5-inning shutout.
Yeah.
That was something.
That helps, and I think that has always been due to the great starting pitching, that we have talked about before. You had mentioned another VSU Blazer, former softball that went into the Hall, and I cannot remember her name to save my life, but
Caitlin Calhoun.
Yeah, who had that 1.34 ERA, and just talk about how dominant she was on the mound.
Yeah, Claire Malding took the circle for this game. If I can find
5 innings. I got you. 5 innings, 3 hits allowed, 1 walk, 8 Ks in the victory.
That's nice.
But I mean, so she ended in 5 because it was due to the 7-run rule. So she started and finished this game. It was phenomenal business.
And I also want to say real quick in terms of roster construction. I have the roster pulled up here. I'm going to try to name off all the returning Blazers that we have from last year. Saylor McNerney back in for the Blazers. The junior out of Kennesaw, Georgia. So literally not too far away from where I am. She actually went to Harrison High School.
Nice.
So I'm pretty sure she's faced off against my Marietta Blue Devils a couple times, along with Brandy Sieber back at the backstop position. Brandy Sieber, the catcher, along with Carly Bogart, Jamie Prandine for the infield, Evie Pitts as well. Aniston Gano is back in for the Blazers. Madison Lump and Tori Wofford and Savannah Barfield. So there's three of our best pitchers
exactly
right there back in the fold. And then of course the newcomer Clara Malding, a graduate out of Florida Gulf Coast University, getting a 5-inning shutout in her first outing. That is phenomenal. Outstanding. That is outstanding.
Can't ask for anything more than that. So the Blazers, Lady Blazers are on the road, which is not anything new, but they are set for 3 2-games. If this makes sense, 3 2-game series. Against Florida Southern on the day of this recording, which is February 7th. With the games at 4 and 6 p.m. Then they take on the University of Tampa, where they will turn into a familiar name on that list, and that being Abby Salt, because that will be the first time we'll see her in going against her former squad. So we'll see them on the Saturday, February 8th, with a 2 and 4 p.m. first pitch, and against the St. Leo Saints on that Sunday in
St. Leo Lions.
Or St. Leo I saw Saints on there.
It's the St. Leo Leos, actually.
Oh, okay.
St. Leo Leos?
Yes, their mascot is the Leos.
Huh.
Which is just the Lions, but Latin because it's fancy like that.
They just got to be special.
Oh yeah. I actually applied to go to school there and got accepted there, but I
thought about going down there as well. I thought about going to
that's insane. But they have they'll face off on that Sunday at 2 p.m. and it's going to be 12 and 2 p.m. So they will not have their first home series that will be against Trevecca Nazarene until February 22nd, which will probably be by the time we will record another episode of the Inferno.
Probably.
So
we'll be talking about that game then.
Yeah, but just long ways away. But good luck, Lady Blazers. Excited to see what the season entails for them this year.
I just wanted to point out real quick that Florida, Southern, Tampa, and St. Leo stretch, that's 6 games in 3 days.
That's right. We did mention that 6 games in 3 days.
That's what I'm like. I'm looking here. I'm like 3. And also these are again 2 games on the same day. Like that's insane.
And actually one thing I really want to talk about here and mention is the VSU Lubbock Christian game. That game ended 14-10 in favor of Lubbock Christian, unfortunately. But for Valdosta State, 15 hits, Lubbock Christian 14 hits.
Oh my Lord.
I mean, and this is something we also talked about last year with this softball team as well, is their offensive power. And let me just say this to preface.
They got some batters.
8 hits in the first 2 innings. 8 hits in the first 2 innings. And I just want to remind people as well, this is the same softball team that, if I can pull up their last year's schedule, if I remember correctly, they hung a 20 spot on somebody. Oh, they hung a 20 spot on a team, I believe. Yes, here we go. Against Alabama Huntsville back on March 15th of 2024, 20-9 in 5 innings.
That's an exciting game to watch.
That is not a typo. And this is also the same team that put on multiple 10-plus point run games throughout the season. Like they had a 10-2 win against Eckerd, an 11-3 against Auburn Montgomery, a 13-5 against West Florida, a back-to-back 10-plus. Or no, excuse me. Okay, let me get this correct here. From February 24th to February 25th against the Lee University Flames. You want to know what the final run totals for each of those games were?
What?
13-5, 15-5, 13-5. I don't know what kind of dark hitting magic that these Blazers have been blessed with, or what Coach Massera is brewing up there for the softball team, but the hitting magic. Oh man,
let's keep it going,
please, for the love of everything, especially for the softball team again. But they good deal transfers as well. The same thing we talked about, transfers and newcomers from last year. It's the same thing we talked about last season. But you still have a great solid core of players. One of them being Sailor McNeary, who also won the Steele's Jewelry Athlete of the Week, along with Blazer Baseball's Drake LaRoche. Sailor McNeary hit 525 of 10 of 19.
Oh my Lord.
With a team high 7 runs scored, 2 doubles, 1 home run, and 4 RBIs in the past couple games she has played. McNeary recorded a hit in each of the 5 games, went 4 of 5 with 2 runs scored, 1 double, and 2 RBIs against Lubbock Christian. Again, that was the 14-10 game, while registering multiple hit games 3 times. So this Blazer baseball and Blazer softball team, don't let the out of conference records fool you.
Right.
Because even though both teams are under 500 right now, once we start getting into conference play, these are going to be some dangerous teams that are going to be building up here, especially when VSU has to go up against the likes of Christian Brothers, who are currently 3-0. Currently 3-0 right now, on top of the GSC. So I mean, if you're looking at Blazer baseball and softball and just looking at the records and think, I don't know really about these teams. Look at the games themselves, especially Blazer baseball shutting down Rollins in the 3rd game of the series, 11-0. I mean, by that point, you lost the series, but I think it also sets a precedent.
So that's a great comeback win, though. Mm-hmm. To shut out.
Yeah,
to shut out, but also score 11 runs while doing it.
Yeah, and then Blazer softball as well, starting the season with an 8-0 shutout that ended in 5 innings,
and still scoring plenty of runs, even against number 9 Rogers State, top 10 team in the country, 5-3.
Exactly. So if we can hang with those kinds of teams early in the season, just wait until you see what they can do against conference opponents. Both of these teams made the GSC tournament last year. I remember Blazer baseball made the GSC final
semifinal.
Was it semifinal?
Yeah, they made it to the semifinal, lost to Delta State. It was Delta State and West Florida in the final.
That's what I thought we made it to the final.
Had we won against Delta State, we would have been in the final against West Florida, who we knocked off earlier in the tournament in the double elimination.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Because baseball and softball are baseball and softball with double elimination tournaments. God, that has got to be one of the stupidest formats I've ever seen. Next to volleyballs. Honestly, with
volleyball's format is very weird. I do not like the GSC format for volleyball.
I don't either. But
I don't like the staggered bracket
and how the number 1 and 2 seeds get automatic bids to the semifinals.
Exactly. But yet every other sport is a single, besides baseball and softball, is a single elimination. You actually have to work your way into the finals. Yeah, it's weird. Into the semifinals.
Well, that's a conversation for another day. But Sawyer got things pulled up here at tennis. That's how we're gonna. The last major sport we're going to talk about here before we wrap things up. What do you got for us, man?
All right. Well, your number 1 VSU men's tennis team, as well as our receiving votes women's tennis team, are all about to kick off their February swing of matches on Friday, February 7th at 2 p.m. against Montevallo at the VSU tennis courts. Friday, February 21st at home again against St. Leo, number 2 in the. Are they number 2? Actually, let me check. They're either 2 or 3 in the nation for rankings in the men's.
Did we get knocked off from 1?
No, we're number 1. St. Leo is number 3. So we'll be placing number 3 St. Leo. And then on February 22nd, so back-to-back match days for the tennis teams against Coastal Georgia, a school out of Brunswick. We don't have the lineups yet.
Don't they usually announce those like during the game or at the game? It's
like the day before or like the day of,
So
we don't have the lineups yet. I can only assume for the men's, I would assume Takeshi Taka is probably going to take that number 1 single spot.
Probably. And Takeshi Taka is going to take that. We're going to take that 1 spot.
And it's going to be Baruch at number 2 singles.
And I know Natalie Rank's probably going to take a single spot as well for the ladies side as well. Which actually, now that I think about it, Natalie Rank I think is the only returning women's tennis player out of this team.
One of only either 1 or 2.
Yeah, there's 7 of them. There's 7 of them here on this women's tennis roster. But yeah, tennis is back into the swing of things on February. You said February 7th?
Yes, February 7th, 2 p.m. at the VSU tennis courts against Montevallo, a season opening conference matchup.
Yeah, so after you get done listening to the Inferno, because that's the day we're going to be posting this. So sorry, Jay.
Go on out there and support the teams.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's supposed to be a Boys' Day Friday night.
Yeah, support your tennis teams, your baseball teams, your softball teams, basketball. And again, it's like we said during the episode with AD Caton. It truly takes your guys in Blazer Nation support out there it takes everything to support these teams.
Absolutely.
Especially in a small town like this, community engagement and involvement is the greatest resource that any small college or Division II, Division III school can have.
I like to, on that very note, I was doing my preparation for this show, and I had saw something that the GSC only put for basketball. I don't know why it's not for other sports, but they put the attendance figures for each, for basketball and see who's for attendance. VSU is second in the men's in terms of attendance, about 8,000 total. What we've seen this year, number 1 is Alabama Huntsville. I think the women's is not far behind as well in terms of attendance total. I mean, that stuff matters. I had done a documentary with help of Kyle, but we had Victoria Ecanasio here, and maybe that could be a future extra Ember one day. Hint, hint, wink, wink. We had, she had talked. I had asked her, what was your favorite game playing here? And she was like, the game against West Georgia. And the atmosphere in that place just willed us, because it's like we didn't want to disappoint all those people that come out and support us. And like that means a lot to these players. Yeah. And if we can do our part in that, showing up, being loud, like Fire Pit is phenomenal in what they do in terms of making that atmosphere intimidating for opposing players.
And,
And we continue to do that, I think that we are moving in, process and moving ourselves into the right place. Yeah, and as I'm pulling the stats up now, women's is second in the Go South Conference behind Alabama Hunts.
Average of 403 people per game.
Yeah, absolutely. So that matters, y'all. That matters. And VSU has only lost 2 home games this year on the men's side. Yeah, which was Morehouse and Alabama Huntsville, and then on the women's side,
only 4. Only 4 games.
Only 4. So that matters, guys. That matters. So.
And especially with the Lady Blazers, it's a tight playoff race. Every single game matters.
Absolutely,
every game matters. Especially
the fact that they came out on a Monday night, like for the women's game, the game started at 3. So it wasn't as packed because, again, folks got classes. So did I. But when that 5 o'clock, everyone was starting to trickle in, and you're seeing place, starting to fill up a little bit.
Yep.
And it's just, seeing that type of environment where, Red Hot's getting in, getting the crowd riled up.
Yep.
Or Fire Pit, or, all the things that we do that makes VSU stand out. We have to do as our obligated duty to support our teams and bring that passion, bring that fire, if you will, to everything that we do.
And the thing as well, you'll find any one of 4 of us at Blazer Athletics events, whether we're working or not. I mean, of course, we don't have like shirts on our back saying we're from the Inferno, because we just don't have those.
Yeah,
because we don't have those. But even then, like you'll see us out there. You'll see us out there at Billy Grant Field, at Steele's Diamond, at the complex, at Bazemore Hyder Stadium, and the soccer complex, and the tennis courts. The tennis courts. You may even find us at Kinderloo. You may even find us at Kinderloo. That one time we
or at the rec center doing intramurals or things like that. So it's just like, speaking of Jalen, have you made a decision on that yet?
What do you mean?
Me and Wyndham found out that Jalen thought about participating in intramural basketball.
Oh, no.
And
are you seriously going to say that here?
Yes, I am, because I would like to put that challenge. As much as I like to pick on him because he's a Cowboys fan, and, that gives me pride and joy in my day. But we love you. We want to support, everything that we do. And if you choose to do it, we'll release an extra Ember detailing your time doing intramural. We'll even have highlights pulled together for you. It's gonna be. Listen, if y'all want them to do it, put it down in the comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. And come on, let's do it. We're gonna have number 13 shooting for 3.
The day I hit a 3-pointer in the game is when that one quotable episode will be forever vindicated.
Yes.
I will vindicate myself from that.
Listen, if I can hit 2 3-pointers in an intramural basketball game last year, you can hit one. Okay,
come on now.
I promise.
Come on,
if I can do it, you can do it.
Me and William will be sitting like LeBron and AD. Oh, that's not age well at all.
Oh man,
that's horrible. As a time of recording. All right, we're gonna be sitting there on the side like let's say LeBron and Luka, because that's accurate right now, right? So watch somebody get traded by the time we get this off. But
LeBron to Dallas confirmed.
Imagine, Jesus,
can you imagine
the outrage? Oh, breaking news! I'm playing, but we're gonna be out there supporting them. We'll even have Jalen mic'd up. We will have the whole. Oh my God! It's gonna be phenomenal. We're gonna be sitting on the court side, just like yes sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's gonna be. I'm gonna have the towel waves. It's gonna be phenomenal. We're gonna get playoff rally. It's gonna be.
If you guys sincerely do want this, even at my expense,
comment. I don't care where you comment at. I don't care if it's our Instagram. I don't care if it's our YouTube. I don't care if it's wherever you get your podcast from. Comment, because guess what? We look at that stuff, and I guarantee you. Oh yeah, and Jalen is gonna do. We'll have a post game interview and everything after each game as well. So, with that being further said, as we are wrapping up this honestly chaotic week of sports,
absolutely,
as I am hopefully gonna try to piece together an Ember that I can get out to you guys before Super Bowl Sunday.
Speaking of Super Bowl Sunday, second edition of the Super Bowl live stream
Yes.
Be sure to catch that on Sunday.
Yes, you will not have to wait to hear and see my reactions when my team wins the Super Bowl. So that will pretty much wrap things up here. Oh, yes, I do have a couple of extra embers lined up that they are getting ready to be filmed within the next couple of weeks. So probably by the end of February and beginning of March, got a couple of special things planned for you guys. Because it's been a while since we've done an ember.
You're telling me, man.
Yeah, I know. Like it's been crazy, but I think that is gonna wrap us up for Sawyer, for my boy Wyndham, and of course Jalen Scott, half man, half amazing. Man, take care of yourself, take care of your mentals around this time of year, man. We love y'all. We appreciate all of your guys' support. This has been the Inferno Blazer Sports Show. Hey, Craig, holla at the people.
Bye, Felicia.
Go Birds!